Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the City Council meeting of the City of Lenore for Tuesday, September the 18th, 2018. We welcome you here this evening, and as we get started, let's take a moment to kind of assess where we've been for the last few days, week, as we consider ourselves very, very fortunate and lucky of what happened with Hurricane Florence as it came through our state. We want to keep in our thoughts and prayers, certainly our coast, our eastern section of North Carolina and South Carolina, as they continue to try to recover. It's going to be some time, but I know we're going to have people going down to help them in different ways, and we certainly appreciate that. We want to say thank you to all of our people and all you did and all your preparation for being ready. I'm glad we didn't have to do a lot, but we did have to do some things. I know there were several service calls that we had to clear some trees and get some things out of the way to help over the weekend. We ended up with 3 inches, I think, of rain in a projection that could have been 5 to 8 to 10, and so we were very, very fortunate. But so many others weren't, and we want to continue our prayers for all of those across our state and the state of South Carolina, and in other areas too that have hit this, have been a part of this storm. But again, thank you for all that you did. Thank you for all your preparation. We were ready. We were prepared, and all we had to do is, if something came, we were going to have people there, and we did. So we do appreciate that. And before we go to our prayer, let's have a great fun note. Todd Purdue was a granddaddy. How about that? Yeah. Congratulations. Lola Page Purdue is the daughter of Ben and Molly Purdue, and Pop Purdue, that's pretty good, is a proud granddaddy. I know he was down there when she came into the world this past weekend, and we're so excited for you. And I know it's going to be a great thing. You just don't know. You're in for a ride of your life, I can tell you that. So it's a lot of fun, but we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers. And if you will, let's please now rise, remain standing for our prayers and our pledge. Thank you. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As we get started this evening, Councilmember Stevens is out tonight. He is in some class. I told him he'd be graduated by now, but I guess he's still working on that. But he has some classes that certainly accountants have to keep up with, so we will miss him this evening. We get started. We do have a matter that's scheduled for a public hearing, and this is a hearing will be held to receive citizen comments on the closeout of an Appalachian Regional Commission grant known as an ARC Water Improvement Grant. The purpose of this $273,000 ARC grant was to replace sewer lines located near the City of Lenore's downtown district, and the recommendation is that we accept the closeout of the ARC grant. I will open the public hearing, and if there's anyone who would like to address the council in any way, please do so. Rick Oxford from the West Piedmont Council of Governments is with us, and glad to have you, Rick, here. Of course, Radford is here. We can answer anything if there's anyone who has any questions about it. And seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for any. You have a question? What does this do? All right.
What does that mean? You don't have the grant anymore, or giving money back?
Grants. The funds have been expended for the project, and now we're just closing it out. The funds have been expended for the project, and now we're closing out the grant.
Just a closeout of the grant that we received.
Radford, do you want to state what occurred? How many feet of line were was replaced and installed.
Don't recall exactly the footage because it was kind of a moving target for a little bit there. But generally what we did was we replaced the line starting at Steel Street and Harper Avenue behind the old Boss Lumber Building and across College Avenue and tied into an existing manhole on the other side. Because we had to make some changes with the methodology in the project, we were going to use pipe bursting, which is, you know, we don't dig the line up because of the creek and some of the other things, but we couldn't do that because there's a Duke power pole through part of one of the sewer lines in there. So we had to do a slip lining. And by doing that, it changed the cost, so we were able to move in a different direction and do some cleaning and some other maintenance work in that area with this grant that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. So we got a little more benefit out of it than what we had intended in our engineering plans. But it tied into a lot of that work that we did around the building supply when we had to replace the culvert and do all that work several years ago. So everything down through there is in really good shape right now, and it turned out really well.
Okay. Any questions of Bradford while he's here? Anything? Thank you.
Thank you.
And while I will leave the public hearing. Any other comments or questions before we do? If not, we'll close the public hearing and now turn it over to council for any discussion or recommendation.
I make a motion, we close the grant out as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Mayor Pro Tem Willis to close out of the ARC grant as presented by staff. No other discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That stands unanimous 6-0 tonight since we have one missing. All right, then we'll move on then to consent agenda items tonight, consisting of the minutes of the City Council meeting of Tuesday, September 4th, 2018, minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of August 28th, 2018, the closed session minutes of that's of Tuesday, September 4th, 2018, as reviewed by the city attorney, the city manager, and the city council. Hope everyone has had a chance to look at it. I think you have. And item D is a bid award for the Mulberry Optimus Park project. This is a recommendation of approval of the low bid of $18,995.48 to Bursa Court LLC for the construction of a new tennis court at the Mulberry Recreation Center. I'll now open these consent agenda items for any discussion and or motion.
I'd like to pull number D, Mr. Mayor.
Want to pull D?
Discussion.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything for A, B, and C?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Purdue that we approve items A, B, and C, which are minutes on the consent agenda item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously. Okay, we'll then discuss item D. Mr. Perkins, you have?
Yes, sir. I'm not opposed to the construction of a tennis court, and I know this is a approval to select a bid. However, we have a project ongoing for 2.5 years up at the court or Finley Avenue. And I know prior to Florence, there has been good weather, and I know a lot of it has been the problem. The weather hasn't been good. I'm sure the funds have been approved, but I don't understand why we want to enter into another project when we have not completed the one project that we started 2.5 years ago. The park has been closed to the citizens of Lenore. We have not been able to use it. We were talking about the restrooms. Well, the restrooms have been completed. The court has partially completed. Put a fence up and is the end of that. We come up and took the parking lot up. Now it's a mud hole up there now. It's the end of that. I'm not opposing the tennis court, but it seems like Mulberry and obviously the Optimus Park is getting all of our attention. And to me, it's not fair. I would like for us to, as soon as the weather breaks, to put all our efforts and energy into what has already started rather than doing something else and letting this go. I will vote for this. I'm okay with that, but I just cannot see us putting something aside and working on something else. Let's get one thing completed, or 3/4 the way completed, before we start on something else. I just don't understand why it has not, why it's just lingered for 2.5 years, and nobody has done anything. You go by there now, you can swim, so.
Well, I think
and-
part of it was there were problems in the parking lot, getting that
Wow.
paved, and Mr. Hildebrand or Mr.
It's my
Story can
understanding
answer
the
those.
bids for the parking lot and curb and gutter are going to be in Friday. Is that correct, Mr. Story? So your next agenda will have the final closeout for the parking lot and for the curb and gutter on there. So your next agenda should have that project to close it out. We've had a tough time getting bids, and we'll talk about that on the next item coming up, but it's been tough getting bids for a lot of things. But Mr. Story, do you want to add anything?
I would just say, as far as the Broyhill Park, we tried to use the money as reasonable as possible. I know it's taken a long time for that, but we have been working with Public Works, Street Department, things like that, to get some of that stuff done, to use that money where we seem best, and sometimes those guys have to take off of their jobs to do other things throughout the city, so that's taken some of the time, but hopefully we're going to wrap this up. I understand where you come from, Mr. Perkins, and we want the citizens of that community and all citizens of Lenore to enjoy that park. The park is not completely shut down. If people want to go in there and use the shelters, playground, things like that, they are apt to do that. But we should have the bids in here quickly, and hopefully that's not going to take too long to get that done. As far as the part with Mulberry, this is also a part of grant that has a timeline on it, and there's certain things we have to do within that. And this came about. This needs to be done right now. It's the part of grant is a 3-year grant, so we've got to move on it too, and that's why I proposed this to you guys tonight for that. It's not that we're putting the park on the back burner and putting Mulberry and other projects ahead of it. We're not doing that, so it may look that way, but we're not. So that's my comments on that. So,
Thank
any other
you.
questions?
Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Yes, sir.
The work that we have left to do in the Broyhill Park, is most of that work going to be done with employees that are already in-house, or are they outside contractors?
The curb and gutter and the paving part will be outside contractors. There is a little work that our city crews will do as far as landscaping, things like that.
So some of that timing for completion of the Broyhill Park is dependent upon those
Those other
outside
Yes,
contractors'
sir.
schedule. So in that way, we're kind of at their mercy on that, completing that part of it.
That's
Is
correct.
that the last stage of?
That's going to be
of
the
pro-
last stage on that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So once we get those bids in, we'll have an understanding of the timeline?
Correct.
I
And
mean,
this-
we've got to put backboards up on the goals,
That's right.
but that's a 30-minute job, and we'll put that as soon as the parking lot's done, those will go up, and that'll be completed as well, so.
And again, this is Phase 1. Phase 2 is a stormwater project working with NC State University and also the County Agricultural Extension to do stormwater improvements. And I think the EPA awarded a $240,000 grant to match with $100,000 to the city and some other folks. So there'll be more work going on there in the future, but it won't impact the upper part of the park. And at the end of the day, hopefully beautify it and also improve the storm drainage through there.
So you're saying phase 1, the only things left now are the parking lot and finishing the basketball court.
That's correct.
And so
The
what's
court is finished.
The court's finished,
yeah.
all except the,
But
yes.
it isn't
goals.
open, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the timeline? I mean, when are we gonna be able to say it's open to the public? So, I mean, I agree that 2.5
I'm
years.
with you.
Oy.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, when can we, if someone says it's gonna be open by this date and it's gonna be a drop dead date, so we don't look like we're dragging it out again, when's it gonna be?
Well,
And
I'd
I
hate
know
to say
you're
a drop dead date, but like I said, it's going to depend on
When do the contractors
contractors.
say they're gonna be done, do you think?
they That would probably be, well, it's probably going to depend on the paving. They haven't given us a timeline on the paving. That's going
Obviously,
to
we're
be.
getting into cold weather, and if we
Yeah.
get too long, then they're gonna say it's not gonna be until the spring.
No, it'll be, hopefully we'll be done by, don't quote me on this.
Yeah, you're only being recorded, and the entire city is hearing what you
That's
say here.
true. And we
But
want,
we won't quote you.
We'll put some pressure on them. Go ahead.
that's right, put some pressure on them. No later than the end of October, hopefully before then.
Okay. I know you're not being quoted, but you're being
But
quoted.
we're gonna, if I have to go up there and make pavement, we'll make it, try to get finished.
Ms.
But,
Cannon, don't put that.
I understand where Mr. Perkins come from and the community, and we want to, we've tried to move on this to make that park as presentable as we can for the city and not just throw things in there to get it done. And I think that's been some of the problem that we've run into with contractors, things like that. So,
Yeah, we had problems back with the restrooms. I think we get anybody to bid them.
Yeah.
We had just several things that have happened. You don't want it to happen, but we can't control how some people, they bid projects. But, yeah, we want to see it done. We all do.
Yes.
I mean,
I
that's for
want to see
sure.
it done, for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions concerning, we'll ask about that if you want to, or we're on the bid award, of course, for the court. And obviously, we have facilities all over, and we're constantly doing projects on everything. We have things up at Martin Luther King Center, we have at Mulberry, we have at Wilson Park, we have them all over that we're working on, so, and we're trying to get all of that done, so. Anyway, if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion concerning this bid award for the Optimus Park, the Mulberry Rec Center tennis court.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Councilmember Perkins to approve the low bid to Bursa Court LLC. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll then move on to requests and petitions of any citizens. If there's anyone here that would like to address the council tonight, this is that time on the agenda to do so. Seeing no one that wants to address right now, so we'll move to, we don't have any reports of our boards and commissions tonight, so we'll move on to the report and recommendations of the city manager, Mr. Hildebrand.
Mayor, Council, several items for your information tonight. As you found out today, the North Carolina League of Municipalities annual conference has been canceled for the 2018 year due to the Hurricane Florence. It was going to be hosted in Hickory, but due to the devastation down east, they've decided to go back and cancel that. The NCDOT's Fall Litter Sweep campaign began last Saturday the 15th and runs through this week, or through the 29th, but I think the storm may impact some of that as well, because DOT has other projects that are going to be a greater focus, I think. The City Sanitation Division's holding their annual trash bash this week, so please get your stuff out between now and Friday, I guess, and we're going to try to get most of that stuff up, hopefully this week, and it may bleed into next week a little bit, but hope folks get their trash bash items out so we can get that picked up. The Planning Board will meet on Monday, September 24th, and that's 5:30 p.m. Is that correct? Canceled. That meeting has been canceled. The Committee of the Whole will meet on Tuesday, September 25th at 8:30 a.m., and that'll be 3rd floor City Hall. Everybody good on that one? Okay. The Foothills Regional Airport Authority will meet on Wednesday, September 26th at noon at the airport. And then I would recognize the Police Department for their annual National Night Out. That'll be held on Tuesday, October 2nd, beginning at 6 o'clock in downtown Lenoir. It's always a festive time, and hope everyone can come out to that. I know that they have all kind of games for kids, and you'll see folks from throughout the county and the region in the law enforcement area. I would also let you know that the council meetings on October 2nd and 16 will be held on the 3rd floor City Hall and not in this room due to some training and also the election that's coming up.
And on the police night out, if you will, remember, let's wear our shirts that we have from the police department and salute to them. And we will be going from here as the council meeting up to the square. So you got my shirt that they gave to us. If you can remember, put it on our calendar to wear it that night.
Tonight, we have three items for your consideration. The first one will be the consideration of rejection of bids for Fire Station Number 3. On Thursday, October 30th, 2018, the city opened construction bids for the Fire Department 3. 4 bids were received. The lowest bidder was Brushy Mountain Builders at $2,020,000. There's additional add-on items for that bid of $300,000 plus, resulting in a bid total of approximately $2.4 million. The city had budgeted $1.72 based on the architect's estimate. Based on that and the project being 39% over our budgeted costs, we recommend that you reject bids and authorize the city manager and staff to continue to review further options, and we are doing that at this time. And hope to have something to announce in the next 2 weeks.
So moved.
Okay, you've heard the consideration of the rejection of bids on Fire Station 3. We have a motion from Councilmember Rohr to accept this rejection of bids.
Or reject the acceptance of bids.
Just a comment, though, it's very difficult for us as a council to plan when we're 40% off of what
Yeah.
someone that we've hired and consulted with to design this comes back. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to cast any stones, but it's very difficult when you're trying to look forward and do this kind of thing. I'm still shocked by how much of a variance there was between what we thought we would be able to build this for and where the bids came in. And the bids all came in a
And I would-
reasonable.
Yeah, they're all.
And I'd like to
And I
think,
think that we've addressed that.
well, I'd like to go back and thank all the bidders. I mean, I think all were competitive and all worked
Absolutely.
hard on putting those together.
Right. It just shocked me that there was that much of a variance. I know it shocked everybody else.
It's a challenge right now due to the economy. I think things are picking up, and that's increasing costs somewhat. But still, there's I understand your
Yeah,
concern.
thank you.
We share that concern.
And I think we're beginning to discuss some ways maybe to do it a little bit different when something like this comes up again in the future.
You had a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion, that's right. Sorry. Got me off track. We have a motion on the floor to rejection of the bids for the Fire Station Number 3 from Councilmember Rohr. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Okay?
Mayor, Council, the next item you have was amended this afternoon, but you have for your consideration approval of purchase of 2 lots. The first lot is a .722.553 acre tract, NC Pen 2749527-425, parcel ID 06132-7. This is located at 1507 Morgan Boulevard. The second tract is a .634392 acre tract, NC Pen 2749525-451, and that parcel ID is 0613028. And that's located at 1515 Morgan Boulevard. Both those lots are owned by Service Distributing Company, Inc., out of Albemarle. The proposal is to go back and purchase those two lots for $150,000. That includes a Servco station on the one track and the old car wash on the other track. As you know, we're trying to go back and extend greenways throughout Lenore. This site's been identified as a necessary track for a bridge crossing across Mulberry Creek to go back and extend the greenway. And after discussions with the owner several occasions over the last month or so, they've agreed. They decided not to sell just one tract, but both at one time. So our recommendation is to go back and acquire both those parcels for $150,000.
All right, you've heard the recommendation from the city manager and staff looking into these 2 lots located at 1507 and 1515 Morganton Boulevard for future considerations of many things. So, and if there's any discussion on it, question? Yes, sir.
I have a question. I think it's good, and I will vote in favor for this, but I do worry because of the previous occupant, that the brownfield consultant and our staff believes the property to have a clean bill of health from an environmental standpoint, but we don't know. Is that correct?
Well, it's limited. The tanks were removed approximately 4 years ago, and from my understanding, there's been no issues found on the property, plus the fact that it's all impervious today. If we don't go in there and dig it up, stir up everything and cause any issues, I don't think we have any future problems. Plus, if we need to go back and do some additional testing, we can use the EPA brownfield project we have underway today to look at that as well.
Okay.
But essentially, we hope to go back and use that as a parking area, maybe a trailhead for a greenway, and maybe a variety of other uses there. We don't know all that right now, but I think that this property wasn't on the market. It's taken some while to get, I guess, in introduction of this gentleman to go back and try to acquire that. So, and plus, it would beautify a corner of the city that we get complaints on quite regularly, so.
Do we have any timeline for when the Greenway may make it over there?
Connecting, I can say one side probably quickly, the other side maybe not so quick. We have a greenway that runs now from the old mall property out to Harrisburg. It was constructed in the last probably 12 to 18 months. This will pick up from there, cross Harrisburg, and go to the Trestle Bridge is what the
So is
proposal
it
is.
up to Harrisburg? Is it completed? I thought I drove through there. Okay, it is?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
I drove through there and I didn't, I saw, it's just on the other side of the creek, and I thought it seemed like it was mowed or flattened, but I didn't know.
It's paved.
Okay,
It's a paved
okay.
surface.
You can run out there if you want to.
I have.
There you go.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
And this will eventually
Didn't get much.
tie back into the OVT and tie back into the rail trail going into downtown. And I think we've had discussions also with Water Life Church about an easement across the front of the mall property. We've got one segment in the middle we still have to go back and get, but I guess maybe 2 years ago, we had Mr. Huntley granted an easement across the doctor's office out there as well. So it's a slow process, but it's coming together, and hopefully we'll get it all tied together in the next few years.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase based on the updated information.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Purdue to make a purchase acquisition of the property based on what was sent to us tonight concerning both pieces of property as recommended by staff and management. No other discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously.
And the last item is to recommend canceling the November 6th city council meeting. That is election day, and also you have several council members traveling that day to the National League of Cities meeting. So recommendation of staff would be to cancel the November 6th council meeting.
Okay. Heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to cancel the meeting?
Make a motion to cancel the meeting.
Have a motion from Councilmember Thomas that we cancel the city council meeting of November 6th due to Election Day and other members of council being traveling to the National League of Cities Conference. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No one. Thank you.
Waiting on it.
I thought he was going to ask me something.
No,
Okay.
she was bothering me.
Oh, she was? Well, I'm sorry about that. Motion carries unanimously, by the way, sir. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. City Manager? Okay. Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Blair, you have anything? No, sir. Okay. Yeah, we do have a closed session in just a minute, but before that, I do have a board reappointment to our ABC board. A recommendation that Elizabeth Betsy Wilson, as we know her, be reappointed to serve a 3-year term on the Lenore ABC board. We announced this reappointment at the September 4th City Council meeting. So I would ask for a motion to reappoint Mrs. Wilson to that board.
So move.
Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Willis to reappoint Ms. Wilson to that board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And quickly, just a couple other announcements. We do have seats open on our Lenore Recreation Advisory Board and one on our Lenore Housing Authority Board. So I would announce that tonight, that we will be taking looking at applications, taking applications for those seats. So if you know anyone interested, please contact the city on those boards, and we'll keep you posted on any others that are coming up as we get some recommendations forward on those boards. So thank you for that. Now we have a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11, subsection A, subsection 3, and we will enter into this closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege. We don't expect anything out of this.
That's up to him.
We expect anything, motion or anything from this?
Any action?
Any action? Okay. All right, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
Motion to go into closed session from Mayor Pro Tem Willis. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are in closed session.